I think I'm a bit jaded by the term artist. When I hear art, I have two thoughts. I have the one that I earnestly seek after, and I have the one of a cultural perception just on what I've interacted with. And when I hear art, I think in the negative sense, I think of people who are just kind of bullshitting and they're throwing crap together and saying it's art. And there's no real meaning to it. It's just kind of very subjective, and um, it's just annoying because there's not really anything productive being said. There might be a lot of thought going into it, but I'm very critical of my own work, so I'm not necessarily any less critical of other people's works. But I have learned to keep that to myself. Uh, um, but in the one sense, I think of art as this kind of just lackluster term that everybody wants to paint over their sloppy attempts and say it's art. It doesn't really matter. And I think that that really diminishes the quality of what art really is. In the positive sense, an artist is a person who takes the intangible and transmutes it into the physical, where we take concepts and we take emotion and we take something of an almost spiritual nature and we filter it through ourselves, through our memories, through our actions, through our very being. We take something that is intangible and we filter it through ourselves and we put it into the physical world, either through painting or through pottery or through any other medium. It is, in the truest sense, a divine act of taking something and making something else with it. So in the best sense, an artist is like a prophet, where they're tuning into something outside of themselves, and then they are bringing it into the world in a way that other people can actually partake in that beautiful thing. Sometimes it's not beautiful, but the idea typically is to try to communicate something very beautiful. So it's a very expressive way of being. So in the cultural kind of ether, a piece of art is looked at as like a final product where we're actually communicating something. But really, most artists, when they're presenting their work, they're not conveying a final piece, they're conveying a journey. And this is a step in the journey. Like the pots or the paintings that other people might make, all the different pieces of art are not in themselves necessarily a one and done, like this is what I'm trying to communicate. I think more often than not, especially in the art is a healing avenue, what it is it's actually conveying a story and a process of being healed by working with art. And so I would say that there needs to be a little bit of a intentional communication, that while we're looking at art, we might appreciate, like, oh, I really like what this painting says and I really like how it is. What we're getting right there is actually just a sample of the larger scope of what art is doing in this artist's life. And so to really understand what an artist is going through, you kind of have to see the trajectory of what they're doing. You can't really judge an artist by one piece. You have to actually see the grand scheme, where they started to where they're going, to get an idea of the trajectory of the type of art that they're creating. And so I think that's something that could be communicated to people not really as familiar with this whole idea of art being this very healing, very self-exploration sort of thing. It's like a piece of art. You can't really say that anything that is even disgusting and grotesque is bad, because it is this thing where it's like they might just be exploring and seeing how they feel about this whole thought. Because I mean, I've created things that I thought were just terrible, and I've created things that I thought were amazing, and felt like down the road different about it as how I felt when I was making it. And because this isn't art in this healing sense, in its most true sense, it's not made for the consumer. The artist is making it for themselves as an avenue of discovery and healing and recovery. So it isn't to be judged exactly. If you like it and you want to take it home, like, great, support an artist, buy something from them, and appreciate what it is. If you feel like there's a kindred spirit with what they've made and what they've done, but understanding that it's not finished. Even the finished product you see is not finished because the artist is still creating and still making things and still continuing. So you're getting a step of the grand narrative of who this artist is. You're not getting a finished product. Maybe.